Hello, my name is Opal Hope Bennett, shorts programmer and director of filmmaker development at Doc NYC, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back from the program, the shorts shortlist. I've got here the filmmakers, whose films you just watched, and super excited to speak with them. I'm going to have you guys please, as I point to you, turn off your mic and introduce yourself and the film that you directed. So we're going to start with Christopher.
Hi, my name is Christopher Auchter, director of Now is the Time. And I'll give you my hiding name too, it's What's the State. So thanks for being here and watching our films.
Pleasure to have you. Next, Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Hsiung. I'm the director of Sing Me a Lullaby.
Welcome. And Safya.
Hello, everyone. I'm Safya Usmani from Pakistan, and I'm the director for A Life Too Short. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. It is 1 a.m. in Pakistan, so Safya is making it look easy, but thank you for joining us. And finally, Maja.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maja Novakovic, director of film Then Comes the Evening.
Welcome, Maja. And Maja's also got her translator and co-producer with her to join us. So welcome to the both of you. Thanks for being here. Hi. All right, so this is going to be a quick conversation, but I wanted to allow the audience to hear a bit more from you guys about your work. I'm first going to speak to Christopher and Safya because your pieces were so heavily using archival work, and I wanted to speak with you both about your approach to that. Christopher, the archival in Now's the Time is outstanding, some of the most pristine work I've seen. And Safya, you do a brilliant job of editing together, almost like a real-time picture of the story that's going on. So could you each speak to us about your use of archival materials in your film? Start with Safya.
Thank you. Yes, I think when I started the film, there was no other way but to go archival, because by that time, Kandil, who is basically the protagonist of my film, which is basically the film about, she was already murdered. So my character wasn't available for me. So that's where I was beginning with. And so really I had to go backwards, and I'd never met Kandil before, ever. And it is through this film really that I got to know her. So it was a very surreal experience in many ways, because I started off with all of her, social media posts and videos, images, any comments that she was making here and there, tweets. So I got to know her through her digital footprint that she left behind. And that really helped me to sort of map out the narrative of the film. And then I went from there, I sort of injected all the other things that I needed, because it was really important for me to understand her through her, because there are 10 people talking about this one individual, and all 10 of them had their own perspective. And my aim for this film was to really understand Kandil and who she was. And there was no better way to understand her but through her words, through her imagery, through her post that she was putting out there. So yes, in a way, it was a limited access to her, because she was no more there. So all the questions that I had no other way but to sort of dig in deeper to her posts and all the stuff that she had left behind, any interview, any TV appearance, all of those things. And then I sort of interjected them with any of her performances online, or then anyone who I could go and talk to. So it was almost like an investigative piece, but my main character just wasn't there. So I was just trying to understand her. It was like she was speaking to me even after she was gone.
Wow, yeah, her voice is very present throughout. You did a great job with that. Christopher?
Yeah, so this footage is over 50 years old, and Now is the Time. And but yeah, I've had many people come up and say, "Hey, did you guys do a reenactment of the pole raising?" But yeah, I really fell in love with the footage when I first seen it, and the the fact that this was a story having grown up on Haida Gwaii and not knowing of this first totem pole that was raised in nearly a century, and it kind of reinvigorated, restarted our whole art form again, our traditional art form. And yeah, I think even my producers thought, oh, I maybe use 30% of the archival, and the rest will be, you know, new interviews, reshooting. But I just loved it so much, and I really wanted to try to place the audience like they were there that day, like they were witnessing it going up. And yeah, the footage was shot on 35 millimeter film, and kudos to the team at the National Film Board of Canada in Montreal that rescanned the footage into 4K, and it came back and it was just like glorious. Like
it is glorious is the word.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was rescanned into 4K, so that helped. Yeah.
And then like in terms of further riches, like I already had riches in terms of this film was made about 50 years ago too. So this was a remake, but they wanted to do it from a Haida perspective, like a person whose culture this was. And I was lucky enough to get this task, but also focusing on the artist himself, Robert Davidson, and trying to give some of the context leading up to this, and finding a film done even before the original film called Haida Carver, which we had the artist when he was 14 kind of learning to carve and stuff like that. So that's where that earlier footage of Robert Davidson came from. So, and that was 35 millimeter as well. So I was very lucky. Yeah.
You were indeed, and it was used to beautiful effect. I'm consistently in awe of that footage every time I see it. I'm going to come to you, Maja, now, where Christopher and Safya's films are using a lot of archival. Yours is very much immediate and a beautiful observational look at these two women. And I'm curious as to how you came to these subjects, and why, that this very sort of naturalistic look at them was for you the best way to tell their story.
Yeah. So inspiration for the film are my childhood memories. I grew up in the village where those grannies live. And when I was little, I used to look after sheep with them, for example. And I wanted to preserve their way of life from oblivion. Shortly, I wanted to shooting a movie, film about the connection of spirit and nature in forgotten times.
Beautifully done. And so how long was your shoot with them? It's quite extensive. Get a bit of time.
Around 10 days.
10 days. Okay.
Yeah, but before maybe Nikita can help me now, because I naprijed sam, pošto je to moje selo.
Since that is my village, and I knew the landscape, and I knew the grandmas,
I znam njihovu svakodnevicu.
And I knew their everyday routines,
Tako da sam
rituals.
naprijed manje više planirala I pripremila šta ću u njihovom životu da prikažem.
So I had a lot of it prepared well in advance, because I knew their schedule, so to say.
I kako njihov dan izgleda I koliko su povezani sa prirodom.
Yes, so I knew how their day looks and how connected they are with nature.
So you knew what you wanted to capture, right? And have they seen the film?
Younger grandma saw the film. The older one sadly passed away before the film was done.
And I mlađa baka je rekla da joj se film ne dopada.
And she said that she's not a fan of the film. And her comment, her comment was that what kind of film is that when there are no words?
Everyone's a critic.
A razlog zašto sam to izabrala da nemaju riječi jeste da su one sve jedna drugoj rekle i da dijelima pričaju.
And I actually choose it on purpose that there are no words in the film because I wanted to emphasize that they have told each other everything through action, through deeds.
Da dijela govore.
Deeds
Right.
instead of words.
Oh yeah, it's just a gorgeous reverie. Your work. So yeah, congratulations. And Tiffany, I'm coming to you now with yet another beautiful and personal piece. And that's the part that I'd love to do. Well, first of all, talk to us about, how you decided to do this story, but I wanted to speak with you about having to unearth and sort of mine a very personal story over the period of time that it took to make this film. I mean, every time I think about it, I'm like, it was such a labor of love and a pretty extensive task. So please share with us about, your decision to do it, and then the process of sustaining it for as long as you needed to make this beautiful film.
I think it's I think I went through the ups and downs like most filmmakers, but this one just went over a decade. It started when I was 21, and at the peak of feeling really confident with myself and armed with a camera and just a lot of just not enough life experience to fear just plunging into searching and seeking for truth. And footage and hating of how I looked like, how I sounded. And once I came to peace with that, I was able to actually watch all the things that we filmed. And through that process, I think that everybody can kind of take away and learn from it is just to not be so hard on ourselves, on our younger selves, on our choices that we've made in the past, because sometimes they're the right choices for those moments to get to where we are today. And I experienced that through making this film, but I also experienced that through finding my, going on this journey and finding my mother's past, and also understanding that, the things that we've experienced together, the things that she's experienced, sometimes things don't start with you, and sometimes things don't start with us, and that there was a life and moments that have come before both of us that led us to where we are today. And it's not to hate it, but to appreciate it and to see all the opportunities that kind of lead us to in the future. And for those reasons, like I didn't know back then, but I now know today that I need to get here through going through all of those steps, as difficult and painful as it is. And I think anyone who's ever tried to make a personal film, it is challenging, because for things that you would want to run away and hide under your bed and face it. And I think during the time of COVID, we all kind of have to face things a bit more, face ourselves a bit more. And so those were the biggest things, is just having to face the difficult conversations and face those nuances that break some assumptions that you've had your whole entire life.
And so just speak to us also about like your decision to actually make the film. Like what was your sort of catalyst moment?
21-year-old Tiffany was just tired of my mother not knowing, confident that there must be a way of figuring this out. I grew up since I was 14, knowing that my mother was adopted, but it was just this like taboo thing that no one really wanted to talk about. And I think over the years and seeing how that had impacted my mother, but no one again really wanted to delve any further with that, that led me to wanting to just do it and just to try at least. And having a camera with me at that time, it was also just to prove to everybody that I was actually going to do it, because everyone thought that it was kind of impossible. This is,
right.
this was before Google existed, right? And so everyone just thought, you know, Tiffany's just gonna go there and just go and have fun. So I brought the camera, brought people could bring that footage and bring that experience to my mom, to whether or not we would find them or not, or how it all pan out. I want to make sure that there was a documentation of the process and that journey. And I think the film had evolved over the years while I kept on going back and forth to Taiwan and while life continues to unfold. So I think the manifestation of where and what it is today and why I wanted to finish the film after all these years has changed. And I think that after finishing my first feature doc, The Apology, I think documenting other people's lives and the grandmothers that I got to spend time with, and understanding that, you know, it's never too late, and that there needs to be, and especially if you have the footage, that there needs to be a moment where you can also confront your own truth and see where that leads you.
That is profound. Thank you. Thank you, Tiffany. So since we do not have our audience here with us in person, as we normally would, I've been asking everyone to please share what it is you want audience members, viewers who've seen your film to take away from it. So I'm going to start with Maja.
Pa da počnemo da razmišljamo o malim jednostavnim stvarima
To start thinking about small and simple things
koje su oko nas i koje ih ne primjećujemo,
that surround us, but we don't necessarily notice them,
ali u njima da otkrijemo ljepotu i vrijednost.
but discover beauty and value in them.
That's beautiful. You guys are dropping pearls today. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. Safya.
I think the takeaway from A Life Too Short is the understanding that, you know, what it's like to have a passion and to have a vision for oneself, and that it's not easy to go against the grain in societies, for women especially, in societies that are governed by patriarchy, misogyny, and hypocrisy. And oftentimes there are huge repercussions for women when they go and speak up their mind, and it shouldn't be like this. There's a price to pay for women, you know, when they try to define themselves and they do not like to conform to the definitions that the society is giving, trying to define them. That is one thing. And the very fact that we still are talking about these basic rights of women trying to have their agency and trying to make independent decisions for themselves and their lives in 2020 is testament to the fact that films like A Life Too Short are not just important, but there's an urgency around them. So we must really think about that. Such women around the world, not just in Pakistan, not only Kandil, she's just representing so many stories around the world of so many girls who are just trying to define themselves, create an identity for themselves, reinvent themselves. Just that fact tells that films like these are so important, and women should just be allowed to live the way they want to live.
Yeah, amen to that. And Christopher, you'll wrap us up.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just below the surface of this film it goes quite deep in terms of the monumental moment that this poll raising was in 1969. You had the backdrop of like nearly a century of these poles being everywhere, like the villages being filled with these totem poles. And then after the smallpox epidemic that blew out in about a year, like 95% of our population, so everybody was dying, and these things weren't being passed on. And we were in survival mode. On Haida Gwaii, all our different villages converged onto two villages, Skidegate and Masset. And yes, as I was saying, the survival mode. And then the missionaries came in and said, these totem poles, they're, you know, you're not going to go to heaven, or, you know, these totem poles are you're worshiping them, or that's what we think. That's what they thought we were doing. They thought we were worshiping. And if you don't get rid of them, you're going to go to hell. You're going to burn in hell. And people believed this. And so they would get together and they would chop these totem poles down and chop them into firewood. Or many were taken without Haida consent to museums and stuff like that. And there was just this overwhelming blanket of, don't do your art, don't do your traditions of who you are, conform to this new Western people that have come in and telling you how to live. And so much of our culture was just turn your back to it. And so this moment of the pole going up, it was such a symbol, this open symbol of it's okay to be yourselves again. It's okay to practice your culture. And that's really what it did. And like for me today, it set me up to being an artist today and being growing up surrounded by our traditional styles of creating and stuff. So that's the backdrop of this film, and the reason why there was so much joy on the elders' faces and the community's face when this poll went up. So, yeah.
That is a lot. That's a rich history there. And I thank you so much for sharing with us. I thank all of you guys. I'm so proud of you. Wish I could give you a hug. But for now, it's just, I know, right? It's just a Zoom. I am so pleased to have been able to speak with you, and we at Doc-NYC believe in you, and we wish you much continued success with these films. Thank you, audience, for joining us. Please join us for some more shorts and documentary features that are part of 2020 Doc-NYC. And we're going to say bye for now. Bye.